Dave T1963. Okay. Another thing you want to pay attention to is the natural browse selection that you have. See all these tall things? They're not going to be eaten. But when they're this size here, these are cockleburs. They grow predominantly down here around creek bottoms or wet areas. Deer love them. They will browse on these. See all this stuff in here? This is what I call English ivy. I don't know if that's the correct terminology, but it's an ivy that once again frequents the same areas that these cockleburs do. You look a little bit further, and right up in here, you've got poison ivy growing. Lots of poison ivy in the woods up in here. So you've got 3 preferred food sources, and you've got a naturally low spot along this high line, this power line. This is where deer are going to feed during daylight hours. They can come out here, nothing can see them. There's all kinds of browse in here. They don't have to move far, and they've got a smorgasbord. I mean, it's like going to Wendy's. They can get whatever they want here. Lots of different food sources in here. Plus, there's others that are not so preferred. Elm leaves, especially on smaller elm trees, are preferred. Look at the big poison ivy plants right here. You'll notice that you don't see any of those poison ivy leaves down low. Why is that? It's been browsed off. There's a little bit right here, about 4.5 foot high, but the rest of it's all browsed off of here. I guarantee you, I mean, look, I'm already seeing deer tracks in this dry creek bed. So you can follow this out and find all kinds of succulent browse and stuff in here. Paying attention to the small details is what it's about. And I'm telling you, during the wintertime, it's not as easy to isolate all these abundant browse things, to see the trails that the deer are using all summer long, because through this thick stuff, they're not going to keep bulldogging a trail through here. They're going to have preferred travel corridors. Those same corridors come fall, if a deer spooked, they're going to just remember this trail that they've used 100 times during the summer, and that'll become their escape route. It'll become where the does like to travel back and forth. I just spooked a deer. I just heard one blowing right over here next to the road. I just saw him. He's right over here. It's probably a doe. I've jumped a lot of deer today, which is also something I like doing. I like knowing where these doe groups prefer to spend their days. Does aren't like bucks. Now, I'm going to caveat, there's never anything that's 100%. You get in ag country, and yes, does will move locations based on food availability. But you get in a spot, especially in the south, where there's adequate cover, adequate water, adequate browse, the does don't move that much, if at all. The only time I really see them moving is if there's not a lot of oaks dropping, and maybe one section of the woods, for whatever reason, had more moisture or less freeze or whatever, and you find acorns dropping in a specific spot. Those does might move their bedding location for a small period of time. The only other time I see does really moving their primary core areas is during their fawning season. Does will break up, and what I see them tending to doing is finding thick grass, kind of like this, and bedding in the middle of it. Anyway, this is what you're looking for. Low spots, out of the line of sight, a whole bunch of different kinds of preferred browse, all kinds of other browse in the area. Adequate bedding all around, an area that not a whole lot of people mess with. Dave T1963 out.